Dark clouds loom over a towering mountain. A group of hikers finds themselves stranded on a crumbling overpass. The wind howls, tension thickens, and every step could be their last. Curly Hair held his breath, not wanting to startle the man balancing precariously on the edge. He knew the best approach was to keep him calm, but fear overtook him. "Gue, you're such a reckless fool," he shouted. The woman beside them gasped in panic, causing the man to stumble. His sheer strength stopped him from tumbling forward, but the sudden movement sent shockwaves through the fragile bridge. The overpass swayed violently before collapsing entirely. Lisa dangled in the air, suspended by a safety rope, unable to move. The situation worsened when the iron cables, worn with age, started to loosen. Curly Hair acted fast. He grabbed a rope and tossed it to Lisa. With everyone's combined effort, they pulled her up just seconds before the final cable snapped. A collective sigh of relief filled the air, but the ordeal was far from over. The only suspension bridge leading down the mountain was destroyed. The group had no choice but to scale the cliff in search of another way down. Rusty iron ladders were their only hope, but below them lay a deadly drop, sharp white rocks, ready to turn any misstep into tragedy. With no alternative, they climbed inch by inch, knowing one wrong move meant certain death. After what felt like an eternity, Lisa suddenly noticed something horrifying. The steel cable ahead was severed. Without it, their path forward was useless. If they ran out of strength, they'd be doomed. Lisa and Curly Hair quickly decided to climb up and lower a safety rope for the others. But as they ascended, Jade, known for his weak nerves, began hyperventilating. Baldhead urged him to relax and conserve his strength, but Jade panicked further. His trembling caused the already unstable cable to snap under his weight. He screamed as he plummeted, but his safety rope caught him just in time. Baldhead rushed to help, but Jade, consumed by fear, struggled violently. The added strain was too much. The cable couldn't withstand the force. The button release triggered a terrifying collapse. Amidst the chaos, Curly Hair reached the top, but danger still lurked. While sprinting ahead, Curly Hair suddenly stepped into a hidden trap. Pain shot through his body, rendering him immobile. He struggled desperately to free himself, but in his weakened state, he had no choice but to urge his teammates to escape and return for him later. Just when all seemed lost, a rope dropped from above. They scrambled up, but not before stepping on Baldhead in their haste. Lisa pulled them up, securing their survival. Yet Curly Hair's fate took a dark turn. As he lay in wait, he heard rustling, branches swaying, an eerie whisper in the wind. He called out for Lisa, but no answer came. The realization struck too late. A powerful force yanked him into the shadows, leaving only a blood-stained trap in his place. The group, shaken, knew they had to find Curly Hair. But in the heart of the unknown, danger lurked at every turn. Jade and Baldhead's frustration boiled over into a fight. Xiao Mei intervened but stumbled into a trap. The group's calls echoed down the deep pit, but she didn't respond. Lisa hurriedly descended with a safety rope, but a misstep sent her plummeting toward deadly spikes, mere centimeters from impalement. Cold sweat dripped down her face. This was no accident. Someone had set these traps deliberately. Despite the perils, Lisa found Xiao Mei, injured but alive. Yet, their search for Curly Hair yielded nothing. As night fell, torrential rain added to their misery. Cold, starving, and exhausted, they tied safety ropes around their bodies to prevent anyone from collapsing unnoticed. But the darkness held more terror. Lisa, trailing behind, suddenly gasped. A crossbow bolt had pierced her side. She couldn't even cry out before something severed her safety rope. She collapsed, and before she could react, a shadowy force dragged her into the abyss. The remaining three stumbled upon an isolated cabin. Desperate, they ventured inside, only to be met with a gruesome sight. Curly Hair's lifeless body, unrecognizable from torment. Their stomachs churned. The nightmare was far from over. Baldhead discovered a basement. Perhaps Lisa was there. He stepped down cautiously, only to recoil in horror. The room was filled with mutilated remains, animals and humans alike. Missing heads, dismembered limbs, grotesque trophies of a madman. Panic surged through him as he turned to flee, but the exit was blocked. Jade, eyes gleaming with betrayal, shoved Baldhead down, watching as he crashed into unconsciousness. Jade saw this as his chance. With Baldhead out of the picture, Xiao Mei was his. But before he could act, the murderer emerged, knocking them both down effortlessly. Jade fled like a coward, abandoning Xiao Mei, who fought back but was swiftly overpowered. As Baldhead regained consciousness, he witnessed the horror unfold. The killer loomed over Xiao Mei, knife poised for the final strike. Desperation fueled Jade's return. He lunged at the murderer, forcing a chase. But the killer was a master of the hunt. A crossbow bolt tore through Jade's body, his scream echoing through the mountains. Trapped against a deadly cliff, Jade had no escape. In a final act of defiance, he fought back, slamming a rock against the killer's skull. Seizing the moment, he bolted down a steel ladder, but it was a decoy. The murderer, momentarily stunned, erupted in rage. As Jade clung to life, Baldhead and Xiao Mei reached for him, but hesitation struck Baldhead. He remembered Jade's betrayal. With cold eyes, he loosened his grip, letting Jade fall. Victory was short-lived. The killer returned, delivering a fatal strike before Baldhead could react. Xiao Mei, consumed by fury, fought with every ounce of strength, but she was no match. As the murderer closed in for the kill, she felt the icy grip of death, until the sharp glint of a hidden blade caught her eye. A single scream echoes through the forest. The camera fades to black. The nightmare isn't over. To be continued.